You know what, guys? There's something that's been on my mind, and I'm going to get this off my chest right now. Rick Mercer talked on it, a great Newfoundlander that he is, but I'm going to finish off where he started. You know, 2013 has been pretty crappy for a lot of people in this province, and indeed in this country. Why? Because of budget cuts. Why there's so many budget cuts? Well, because the provincial governments and the federal governments feel that in order to save money, they got to lose money by getting rid of jobs and get rid of offices all across the globe. All across the border. But you see, the thing is, it's November. And November means one thing and one thing only: Remembrance Day, VE Day, Victory in Europe Day. And what does that mean? That means all the veterans all across the world. Now, I'm not talking about just Canadian or American or British. I'm talking about German and Japanese, Chinese, Russians, the whole 9 yards. All get together on one special day, on November 11th, in order to remember what those brave men and women gave for us overseas and what they're still giving for us overseas. Keep in mind, it's not exactly the best war to be fighting for, especially if it's for oil, but I'll say that for all you hippie people. Now, let me catch my breath. There are currently, with all these budget cuts, the federal government has been stating that not every single office, when it comes to veteran affairs, is going to be cut. They're not going to lose anything, but there have been. Therefore, jobs have been lost, and therefore, veterans of the First and Second World War, the Second World War, are now losing out, which means that they are being mistreated. Now, I don't know about you, but ever since World War II ended, and World War I ended also, there's been a lot of people out there who've been saying a lot of bad things about the veterans, and saying that they were fighting in a war that they shouldn't have been fought in. That's one thing I can agree on. That's one war they shouldn't have fought in, which was the Second World War, and even the First World War. But I digress. Now, because of these budget cuts, veterans of the Second World War, they're dropping like flies. 2013, especially for my branch of the Royal Canadian Legion, we've lost, at least in 1 year, 10 to 15 members. 95% of them were World War II vets. Now, but they're not all gone yet, as Rick Mercer stated. There are at least over 140,000 World War II vets still living in Canada today. Now, keep in mind, they're dropping like flies because of old age. But keep in mind, remember this: we need to remember them while they're gone. One of the biggest things that I always taught when I was a kid and I went to a World War II, or I went to a Remembrance Day ceremony, my mother pointed out to me some men in red berets. And she said to me, "Travis, take a good look at them men." I said, "Why, Mom? Why?" Because when you get my age, those people are going to be gone. And those men are ones who went overseas, who lost friends, who lost brothers, who lost sisters, who lost people that they held dear. Because when you're away from home and you ain't got no family, and your best friend is the guy sitting next to you on the train when you're heading to the airport, or heading to the boat, or heading to the harbor to go overseas to England, to Scotland, to Northern Ireland, and then you're going right to the front lines in the Netherlands, or Germany, or France, or on the beaches of Normandy, you got to realize your friend might not be there very much longer. And that's what these men kept in common. Now, because, you see, this is the mechanical age. And whatever happened to talking to people? Those days are long gone. And the reason why those days are long gone, now, these veterans got to go on the telephone and contact their local Veterans Affairs office, a 1-800 number that they can talk to. Now, keep in mind that the average age is 88. There's no one more thing they can do, which is really good. They can go on their smartphone and download an app which will take them directly to the website of the Canadian Veterans Affairs. I don't know about you, but this is kind of ridiculous, especially since 95% of these men have never seen anything above a calculator. This is the one thing that really pisses me off, and the one thing that really needs to be addressed, especially in the House of Commons, when all these white shirts, red tie guys are sitting around discussing Canada's future when they're forgetting about our past. And our past is these veterans who gave their blood, sweat, and tears, some of them coming home with no legs, some of them coming home with one arm, some of them coming back with no vision whatsoever because of shrapnel. In my mind, if they gave their life on the beaches of Normandy, they deserve a little bit more respect, because I would not have the freedom right now to be making this rant and putting it on YouTube, because it would probably be Hitler tube. That is the kind of thing that people need to remember. And they deserve a little bit more respect than that. Because now, if they gotta stand in line, take a number, while trying to make funeral arrangements for their family for the last days on earth, they gotta stand in line behind a guy like me who's waiting to get his passport renewed. Obviously, lest we forget means nothing anymore. Rick Mercer said it, and I'm saying it too. And that is exactly right. Lest we forget doesn't mean jack anymore, because obviously, people, we've forgotten. I think it's about time we start waking up and remembering. Don't you?